Hi everyone, welcome to Bay Sunday. I'm your host Frank Malika. We are off to the movies today. We will preview a documentary film festival. We're going to take you inside a couple of nonprofits and look at what schools are doing to prevent bullying. But first, as always, a little pitch. If you'd like to connect with us, we'd love to hear from you. Just go to cbssf.com, click on Connect, and you'll get the information. All the links to our email, our social media, Facebook, Twitter, and the works. Showtime now. Up first, please welcome the program director of the San Francisco Documentary Film Festival, more commonly known as SF Doc Fest. Say hello to Faye Dearborn. How are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Welcome, welcome. Well, you must be excited. You got 50 documentaries about to be unleashed on the public here. Tell us about it.
That's right. Well, this is our 11th year putting on the festival, and we just try to bring the best possible documentaries to our audience. We're showing this year from November 8th to November 21st, so that gives us a lot of time to show a lot of documentaries.
How do you choose? I imagine you got more submissions than you can actually show. What goes into the pecking order, and which ones make it and which ones don't?
It's always so hard, especially with documentaries. I feel like with a feature film, it's easy to say, oh, I didn't like that actor or something. Well, with a documentary film, there's always something to learn in there, and it's very difficult.
It's real life. You know?
Yeah.
It's a story.
Everything is interesting, and so programming for our festival is about picking what we think are the best, represents some of the best in documentary filmmaking for this year, to bring it to the Bay Area to audiences who might not have a chance to see those films anywhere else. It's also about knowing our audience. I think we at DocFest are really fortunate to have a pretty young and connected audience. So we try to play to that a little bit and show some documentary films that are not just educational, but a fun night out at the movies.
Oh, very good. And I would imagine, as you kind of hinted upon, San Francisco is probably a good place to do this, and Berkeley as well, right? So you get a little bit of everything here, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely, because we have 37 feature-length documentaries, 2 shorts programs, and a couple of special programs that we throw in too, like our annual 80s New Wave Sing-Along, which is always a lot of fun. And we do some special programs like we're having a free film plus panel discussion on urban recycling. And then of course, we do parties. So we've got a great opening night lined up at the Brava Theater on November 8th, which is the film Working Class. It's about what it's like to be an up-and-coming artist, featuring San Francisco's own street-style illustrator, Mike Giant. And the filmmaker will also be there. And so we're going to have the film plus a Q&A with the artist and the filmmaker, and then we're going to have a gallery show afterwards and reception.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
Yeah, great way to kick off the festival.
Well, we've got an excerpt from one of the films, Cruel and Unusual. Why don't you give us kind of the plot, what it's about? We'll look at the clip, and then you can talk about it.
Right. Well, we were really excited to have this film. Sam Banning is a local filmmaker, and this film is going to be the world premiere. It's about the 3 strikes law, California's 3 strikes law specifically. And several years down the road after this was passed into law, the film takes a look at some of the ramifications socially and personally of some of the people who were affected and were in fact jailed.
Okay, well, there you go. That's the setup. Let's take a look at the clip now, and we'll talk about it in a moment.
Okay.
Cruel and Unusual.
Sure enough, they were going after a 75-year life sentence on me.
I kept telling them, y'all had the wrong case. I have a petty theft. There's no way I can be facing a life sentence.
I'm not the only one that did 13 years. My sisters did 13 years. My nieces and my nephews did 13 years. You know, I always wanted to have kids. You know, I wanted 4 kids. Well, part of that collateral damage, I won't have kids now.
Now, this is about people, a lot of them committed petty crime. Some are still stuck in jail. Some are out but have lost a lot of their lives because of that law, right?
Yeah, and I think, you know, like with most documentaries, it's important to try to show both sides. There were some compelling reasons to pass the law in the first place, but I do think that overall the film is really most you know, compelling and interesting when it talks about these personal stories. And one of the great things is that some of those subjects are going to be at the screening and will be available to talk afterwards and answer questions about their experience.
Give us a feel for maybe some of the other, you touched on a little bit, but some of the other stuff that we're going to see, some of the other films.
Oh, yeah. So, well, if you're interested in some other sort of political issues, it's always nice to see something on screen that wasn't paid for by a super PAC. We've got the film Ann Richards, Texas, about the inimitable Texan governor. And we have a film called A Girl Like Her, which was, it's about the young women of the 50s and 60s who were pressured to give up their children. They were unwed mothers, and they were pressured to give up their children for adoption. So those are some pretty compelling stories.
And some of the theaters we can see these in would be?
Yeah, the historic Roxy Theater
Okay.
in the Mission, and also the Brava Theater in San Francisco, and then in downtown Berkeley at the Shattuck Cinemas.
Very good. Well, we wish you all the best. It's coming up very soon.
Thanks very much.
Thanks for coming in, Faye. The 11th annual SF Doc Fest Fun. November the 8th through the 21st in San Francisco, and as she mentioned, Berkeley as well. For ticket information and showtimes, log on to sfindy.com. Back with more Bay Sunday right after the break. Stay right there.